Hi, this is Tom Hayes with Codentity, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use the Codentity EFX Player with the True Blend Media Player system. The Codentity EFX Player is a digital audio reproduction tool created in software, and it's compatible with Microsoft Windows 8, Windows 7, or Windows XP, your choice. You can get a free trial download of the software at area89.com. Just head over to Area 89, then on the home page, click the Try Free button and follow instructions. Now, when you download and install the product on your computer, you'll notice the master title is Music Megabase Catalog Media Edition. And that's because the Codentity EFX Player is distributed as part of a bundle, a product suite. And that suite includes these titles: the Music Megabase Catalog, which is our hit music database, the True Blend Media Player system, our digital audio automation tool, and of course the Codentity EFX Player. Welcome to part 2 of how to use the Codentity EFX Player with the True Blend Media Player system. Well, the screen you see in front of you is pretty much how I left it at the end of part 1. I had just played a sound effect from the effects player, and I rolled it over music that was emanating from player 2 of the True Blend Player console. And then right at the end, I dipped audio of player 2 by clicking the dip 2 button, which reduced the audio to about a 12% of maximum level. Well, as I continue here in part 2 of the video, I'm going to demonstrate some real-world scenarios for the Codentity EFX Player. So time permitting, I'll demonstrate how a DJ might use the effects player to roll in effects and music vamps at a wedding, how an audio operator might use the effects player at a charity auction event, and also we'll try to show you how a DJ or the audio technician at a radio station remote broadcast might use the effects player. Examples of a remote broadcast scenario might be where the DJ is playing the hits from the parking lot of maybe a shopping center or from the showroom of an automotive dealership, something of that nature. Before I get into the effects player scenarios, I do want to show you one other thing here in the player console, and that's how to apply a power fade. So right now, player 2 is playing. Remember, I dipped the audio, so it's at 12% of what it was previously. And in the True Blend Media Player System Player console, the dip buttons do have a memory. So when I click Restore, the audio will go back to the level it was at when I applied or invoked the dip command initially in part 1 of the video. So I'm going to click the Restore button, and then very quickly I will double click on the active track light here once to suspend timer automation, and a second time to apply a power fade. Let's do it. I click the Restore button here. That is a very handy way to apply a power fade at a party, maybe when you want to have your hands free to hold a script or do something else when you're the DJ. So I use the logic in True Blend, the player console, to reduce the audio to 0 for player 2, and then actually stop player 2. So right now, the automation is paused. If I were to click the play button, it would restart the play event at position 1 of the ATL, the assigned track list. We talked about that a lot in part 1 of the video. It's the dynamic live action playlist. If I click the play next button, it would resume playback from position 7 of the ATL, and you would hear I Was the One by Elvis. Well, we're not going to show you the media player console too much in this video. I want to spend more time on the effects player and how to use it in real-world scenarios. But before I do that, I want to tease you with just a couple of minutes about some of the optional products for the True Blend media player system. One is the Keyword Compositor. I'll click it to open. And the Keyword Compositor is a layered search query product, so you can do multiple queries with one search. Now, I'll click the Advanced tab just to show you a few. You can do chart date by range, and you can do title with audio hyperlink true. That means only show me titles where there is a corresponding digital audio file connected in the software. If I click the next tab, the 2KW, you see you could search by title and artist. I could find every song by, for example, Celine Dion or Elvis Presley or Frank Sinatra. I could search by title and gender. Then I could search for any song with maybe the word love in the title by a female artist. Well, you get the idea. That's the Keyword Compositor. It's a very quick way to do very nice, precise, granular searches and then load the tracks to the ATL, the assigned track list of the TrueBlend Media Player system. Down here, another option, the ATL Image Manager, which is a playlist manager on steroids. And I've pre-built some named lists in here. They're called images. And in the ATL Image Manager, you can pre-build and name a list, an image or a playlist, and then use one button to assign those tracks in an ordered way, an ordered sequence to the ATL of the player console. For example, there's a playlist down here I built called Rockin' 90s. Let's see if I can type it correctly. I'll hit the Enter key, and now I look at the position 1 through 5 tab, and you see some of the titles on the Rockin' 90s ATL Image playlist. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Deep Blue Something, we see Jeff Healey Band, we see Roxette. If I go back to the Load Image tab and I select Load Selected ATL Image here, it would place those 20 tracks from the image immediately on the ATL, the assigned track list. Well, that's enough of that. You can learn more about the Keyword Compositor and the ATL Image Manager anytime at area89.com. Just click on the FAQ page. There's a lot of information there. I'll close the ATL Image Manager. We're back to the player console. I'm going to open the effects player, and there you see it in a widescreen display. And there's nothing loaded right now on the IP bars. I'll scroll down. It opens in a blank presentation. Now, if you saw part 1 of the video, you probably already know that IP bars are instant play bars, and when you assign a track, an audio recording, to an IP bar, you have the opportunity to play it on demand whenever you click the IP bar, which is really a play button. And in the effects player, the Codentity EFX Player, there are actually 3 decks on one frame or in one window. There's Deck Effects A. Scroll down, you see the other 2, A2 and Effects A3. And they can all work, if you so desire, concurrently. And there is logic to apply what are called power fades. It even sets the optimum level automatically when it loads the track in the player, and it goes by discrete track. So, for example, if you decide to load a track and you set in the Music Megabase catalog, the reference database, you set the audio level for that track to, say, 75% of maximum, it will load in the effects player at 75%. And also does it for the TrueBlend player console. But it's a very cool way to manage your audio levels. Well, more about that a little later on if we have time. Before I start searching for tracks to build a quick playlist here for the DJ at the wedding, I want to demonstrate something I didn't in part 1 of the video. I can change the way the frame or the window looks and make it stand out a little bit better, give it some higher contrast, because right now it's floating over the TrueBlend player console. One way to do it is to click the Cycle Clock Colors button here. I like the green. It pops very well. And then down at the bottom of the frame, the window, Cycle Footer Colors. Let's try it. Hot teal, pink, keep going. I like that, sort of a dark purple. And now I'll double click the effects player logo up here at the top. That changed it to a metallic purple that pretty well matches the bottom edge of the frame. Now you have a higher contrast. You can get a better distinction between the effects player and the TrueBlend player console in the background. Well, let's go ahead and search for some tracks, and then I will assign them to IP bars, and we can pretend we're a DJ at a wedding and roll in some effects. I'll even save the playlist, which in this product is called an IP map. So the first thing I'm going to look for, let's pretend we're the wedding DJ, and you know that at every wedding there's a situation where there's a cake cutting, and at some point the bride will push the cake in the face of the groom. Isn't that wonderful, guys? Okay, so what's a good track to play for that? How about Pick Up the Pieces by the Average Wide Band? There it is. I'll hit the Enter key. You can see it says artist, average white band, and down near the bottom of the frame in yellow font, ready now, pick up the pieces. Well, as you learned from part 1 of the video, if I click the play effects button, it will start to pick up the pieces track instantly, but it always starts it in deck A, and I'll demonstrate. All right, I clicked the Fade Effects button, which applied a power fade to Effects A, reduce the audio to 0, and stop the player. Well, the Pick Up the Pieces track is still in the staging banner. It says green now because I already started a play event, but it's still there. That means it can be placed on the IP bars. So I click IP Selector. That has aligned my screen view automatically to the Assign Track to IP buttons. You can still see the staging banner above. And if you saw part 1 of the video, you already know that if I click IP1, it will place Pick Up the Pieces on IP bar, Instant Play Bar 1. Let's click IP1. There you see, it's ready to go from IP bar 1. Well, let's get some more tracks. I'll click the search button here. And always at a wedding, generally there's a garter toss, maybe not always, and that's when the groom gets the garter from the bride's leg and throws it out for all the single unmarried guys at the wedding. So what's a good track to play for that? We could do the stripper, which has kind of a sexy, sassy sound. Always check with the bride and groom before you do that. Another one that has that same feel is Love Potion number 9 by Herb Alpert. I know that's on my computer. It's in my version of the Music Megabase catalog, and there is a hyperlink so I can play it. There it is. You see it in the staging banner. I click IP Selector. Let's put it on IP2. I'll click the search button to realign with Effects A. Now, I could keep doing it this way. It's a little laborious, so there are some very quick ways to navigate with some intelligence in the Effects Player interface. Let me scroll down to the More Options section, and I will point out there is a couple boxes I'm going to select. Do you see where it says Jump to IP Selector after Search Title or Artist? Click it, and then to the right, jump to Search by Title after Assign IP Bar. This will make the logic in the Effects Player automatically realign for my next task. So let's return to the top. Let's do a search, and you'll see this in action. All right, remember, I'm a DJ at a wedding. I'm working in advance, building a playlist. There's probably going to be a bouquet toss. We need some romantic music, and I know there's a couple of tracks on here that will work. Love is a Many Splendored Thing, that's one. I know on my hard drive there are 2 versions. I'm going to use the one that I edited to make a little bit shorter. It starts with the violins. Click it. Now you saw it automatically aligned to the Assign Track to IP buttons. Let's put it at position 3 of the IP bars. I don't have to put it there. I could assign in any order I like, but it makes more sense to go to IP3. Now we're realigned with the search box and the title is selected. Let's pick a first dance. How about Elton John? Can You Feel the Love Tonight? That's it. Realigned with the IP bars. I'll put it at IP4. Let's search for another track, an all-dance song. Always at a wedding, you want to have something that everybody, including Gramps, will dance to. And a great track for that, I've learned by being the DJ at a few weddings, is New York, New York by Frank Sinatra. There it is. I will hit the Enter key. We realign. Let's put that at IP bar 5. And before I start playing the music, let me show you one other thing. It's very handy. There is a filtering system here on the Effects Player 2. You saw it in part 1 for the True Blend Player console. If I click Match Artist, it will apply a filter that will show me every Frank Sinatra track that's available now to the Effects Player. Look at the screen, lower left, TDC track display count says 2349. So that means right now I have available 2,349 tracks. I'm going to apply the Match Artist filter, click, and now you see the TDC says 13. It also has a lavender background. That's your visual cue that a filter is active. Well, there are 13 Frank Sinatra tracks available for instant play or assignment to the IP bars. Now, the IP selector switch the button is hidden by the remove filter before start playback message, but I can double-click the message here, and now I've realigned to the Assign Track button section. Let's go ahead and put a Frank Sinatra track at IP6. How about My Kind of Town? Click IP6. It's now on IP bar 6, and I can prove it. I'll double-click in the IP bar 1 catalog ID label. I could also double click in 2 or 3. I'll double click. Now we've aligned to show you that there are, in fact, yes, 9 instant play bars. The first 6 are populated, right? We still have 3 available. Let's scroll up here and go back. Remember, I have a filter applied. See the staging banner, My Kind of Town? I just added that to IP6. Let's browse again. Click Go to Next. How about Strangers in the Night? Let's put that in IP7. And now I have the first 7 instant play bars loaded. I'll double click here to realign with all 9. So I can start my set the second I remove the filter. If I don't remove the filter, there is context sensitive help that will tell me to remove the filter. And let me activate that. I'll click IP bar 1 right now. Hey, remove filter. Thank you, sir. All right, let's remove the filter. That's realigned to the top of the deck, top of the frame. Let's click IP selector. Then I will double click again here to the right. I've realigned with all 9 IP bars. Remember, I'm a DJ at a wedding and I'm ready to start the music. Let's pretend that the bride and the groom have just cut the cake and she's about to push the cake in his face. Let's play a little Average White Band by clicking IP bar 1. All right, you may have noticed I then clicked the Jump to LPS, Jump to Last Player Started button, and that aligned the screen view with Effects A, and it was able to do that because the logic in the Codentity EFX Player keeps track of the last player started. So when I clicked Jump to LPS, we were taken to Effects A, and then I used the mouse and the manual control to reduce audio to a background level. 2 reasons: so I can talk to you more clearly and so I can make sure that I'm in fair use compliance for the copyrighted music that we're showing you in this instructional video. Well, the bride and the groom have just finished pushing the cake in each other's faces. Let's move on to the garter toss. I'm going to click IP selector to realign. And if I do nothing now and I click Love Potion number 9, the track in Effects A will continue playing. But let's turn on Power Fade. I'll click Apply Power Fade to IP Play Events button or checkbox here. The automatic power fade light is on. Remember, RTS is on by default. RTS stands for Route to Secondary. And that means when I start an event, if Deck A is busy, the logic in the True Blend effects player, rather the Codentity EFX Player, will route to Deck Effects A2. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we go. The garter toss is about to begin. The bride is on the chair. The groom is lifting her dress ever so gently. And let's roll in a little music here from Herb Alpert to set the scene. All right, I clicked Jump to LPS. Last player started. This time the logic knows it was Deck Effects A2. I reduced the audio so we can talk. So you imagine now that the groom has retrieved the garter from the bride's leg and he's ready to toss it out to all the single males. And that's been done. Let's return to Jump to the IP bars. Let's get ready with the next track. Let's imagine that the bride is ready to toss the bouquet to all the single ladies. I click IP bar 3. I click Jump to LPS, and since Effects A was open, the logic went from A2 to A, and I reduced the audio so we can speak. There's the romantic music, and the DJ says, "Get ready, ladies. 1, 2, 3. The bride throws the bouquet. We bring the music up, and it's very romantic. Somebody catches the bouquet, and she will probably be, legend holds, the next lady to get married." Well, let's move on with our music selection at the wedding. I'll double click here in the label 2 for IP bar 2, and we've realigned with all 9 IP bars. Let's go ahead and do the first dance for the bride and groom, Elton John from IP bar 4. All right, I went right from Elton John, and you have to imagine in your mind, for time's sake, that the bride and groom were nearly done with the first dance, and then I started New York, New York by Frank Sinatra. And that that invited everybody out to the dance floor, all ages, all generations. Almost anybody will dance to this track. All right, let's move on. Before I do, I want to show you how to save the wedding list I just made for the DJ. So I'm going to open here the IP map form, click, and then I'm going to save this, give it a name so I don't have to rebuild it every time. I click Save IP Map. I'll dismiss these messages now in the interest of saving time. Let's name it Wedding DJ. Would help if I spelled it correctly. I think I need new glasses. Wedding DJ. Click OK. Success! So we've now saved that name, the wedding playlist, the IP map. It's called a IP map. The playlist is an IP map here in the effects player. I'll close the form, and that means I could recall it anytime at my next DJ wedding party. Let's, in the time remaining, let's go ahead and show you a couple more real-world scenarios here for the Codentity effects player. I do have a pre-named, pre-saved playlist, an IP map, for a charity event auction. I'm going to open the IP map form, and I'm going to start typing charity. There it is. I'll click, we'll click enter to auto-locate the record finder. Then I will click load IP map. Yes, I understand we'll overwrite the current IP map bars. And now we see, I'm going to double click here on the right to realign with all 9. We see the charity auction event playlist that I built ahead of time in preparation to demonstrate the video here. So I put some music on there that I think would be cool to roll in at a charity auction event where, in this scenario, we'll pretend that the prizes are destinations, like a cruise to an exotic port somewhere on a ship, maybe a trip to Spain, maybe the people would take in a bullfight. A lot of times organizations will donate prizes for charity auctions. And the third destination package might be a blind date somewhere in a major city like San Francisco, Chicago. Well, let's show you how the music would work. I do have Power Fade on, and that will automatically remove the Frank Sinatra track that's left over from the previous real-world scenario. So we're at the charity auction, and some of the guys that are going to handle the auction are approaching the stage. We want to get the crowd amped up, so the audio operator has checked with them. They say it's cool. He's going to roll in some audio to get the mood set. Let's do Hugo Montenegro from IP Bar 1. All right, I clicked the search button that time to realign with the top of the frame, and then on the right I clicked the dip all players, which brought the background level, reduced it so that we could talk over the audio. Let's click IP selector, realign. So we have good and bad and the ugly, and maybe one of the guys that's coming up to the mic says, you can call me good, you can call me bad, don't call me ugly. And while that happens, the audience is starting to get in the mood, and let's realign with all 9. In fact, maybe they think that's funny, and they start laughing or applauding. You could also you could help them out a little bit by throwing in some crowd noise. Jump to LPS. I'll reduce that audio a bit. Realign. Okay, so the crowd is aware that you're about to do an auction, right? And so the auctioneer starts saying, hey, the first prize is this beautiful exotic cruise. Who wants to bid on this? Well, you're the audio operator, and you want the crowd to get in the mood, so you roll in some music for the theme from The Love Boat. Let's check it out. Reducing audio. Manually, realign. Double click here to realign with all 9 IP bars. All right, so that's going on, and the auction is underway. And perhaps maybe the auctioneer says, hey, you know what? I'm not getting as much money as I wanted on that. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I need a higher bid. I'm only at $3,000. I need $4,000. And the audio operator rolls in a little music to help out the auctioneer by clicking Tom Petty. And of course, the goal here is to keep the crowd motivated. Double-click to realign with all 9 IP bars. Let's say that auction finished. There's another prize. This time the auctioneer says, ladies and gentlemen, the cruise went to so-and-so. Now we're going to give away a trip to Spain, and we're going to take in a bullfight. And the audio operator rolls in. Music on cue. Herb Alpert, Lonely Bull, that's quite appropriate. Realign with all 9. And now maybe we move on, and the next prize is a blind date for 2 to downtown Chicago. Well, what could you play? Might be cool to play the dating game music, and I've arranged this ahead of time. So the auctioneer starts the bidding. Let's do the music. I click jump to LPS, last player started, and this time the logic took me to deck A2. I reduced the audio manually so we can speak. I'll realign with the IP bars. Well, that gives you an idea of the way the effects player could be used to motivate the audience at, for example, a charity event auction. Let's do one more. We only have a couple of minutes left. I'm going to load a pre-named playlist for a radio station. It's called KGBY. Enter. Load IP map. We won't have time to step through the whole thing, but I'll get it going for you. So now I have power fade on, RTS, route to secondary on. You see an IP bar 1, X-Files bugs. It's a promo, 19 seconds. To its right, you see the AFC tile, says promo. And to its right, you see the closing word phrase tile, CWP. There's the out cue for this, Friday at 9, 8 Central on Fox. I'm going to turn off power fade now and demonstrate how we could play the promo, then a quick jingle, then start a track, and I'll even lay in a TV effects sound effect of from the Adam 12 just to be a little zany at the bottom. So let's go. I click IP bar 1.
Friday. For centuries, we've tried to exterminate them.
It appears the cockroaches are mortally attacking people.
Now, I brought the audio down just for 1 second to tell you that I'm going to very quickly run out of time. So we're going to have you imagine how this might end. Let's return to the track.
Brand new episode Friday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Sacramento's Y92.5.
Sure.
You give your love so sweetly tonight. Today's hits, yesterday's favorites. Y92.5.
Reducing the audio manually. Well, in order to save time, I didn't describe what I was going to do, but I took you through some more transitions using power fade with the Codentity EFX Player, and we were showing you how a DJ might use the product at a remote broadcast. Well, that ends our time for part 2 of the video. Thank you for watching. You can learn more anytime at area89.com. You can download your free trial of the Codentity EFX Player and the True Blend Media Player System. When you're ready to buy, you can purchase from the Codentity web store at area89.com or at codentity.com. And you can also search for the product at Bing, Google, YouTube, and Amazon.